We are talking to Peter Oliver, the founder of Switch Vehicles, and Sam from Holly. Now, Sam, please forgive me. I do not want to butcher your last name. Could you please, for the record, please tell us your full name?
Sam Chaysavang. I work for AEM EV, which is a branch of the Holly Performance Group. We've recently stepped into the EV space maybe about 3 years ago or so. We come from a long background in engine management. That's what AEM stands for, is Advanced Engine Management.
Thank you for that.
So controls is right up our alley. So we made this move into this space because we kind of pretty much saw the writing on the wall. We saw where the industry is going, and you know, you're either with it or you're not. You know, you can still be selling carburetors in 2022, or you can move on to the next and stick with what's current, right? So we were approached with some challenges by Ford with the Cobra Jet.
Got it.
So this is a good opportunity right now to leverage this and this partnership to really develop our controls for that application. And after that, we're like, you know what? That was fun. That was cool. That was a really great learning experience from them. And this can be exciting. Let's get into this. Let's really dive into this EV space. And we've just been making stuff from controllers to battery management systems to 12-volt switching, high-volt switching. So we're trying to create a suite of products for the end users and installers, integrators, educators, and whatnot to make this an easy stepping stone and available. Like, you could just go online and order this stuff. You know, right now it's it's a bunch of really smart guys, really engineer guys that can source all these little things and reverse engineer all this stuff and figure this all out and make these current projects work. But your average guy that might have a car that hasn't ran, like I was working with a Porsche application one, like an air-cooled Porsche, costs a lot to rebuild, and the longevity of that engine is probably not that great. So if you can offer a guy an installation package, an EV swap package that is less than what it costs to rebuild the IC engine, now you can go out and have fun with it all the time, every time, and have a blast, and then it'll go on forever.
Well, we attended the Holly High Voltage event last year at the Sonoma Raceway.
Yeah.
So much fun.
Yeah,
so much fun.
Awesome. And Holly has been a group, without Holly involved with AMEV, that would never happen. Just the resources we have and what we can do, something like that is
so cool.
Yeah. We might do an AEM practice, but not like that. That was awesome.
Well, let's do that again, shall we? Because that was super fun.
Yeah. What really excites me about what you guys are doing is, you're right. We buy a controller from somebody, an inverter from somebody else, battery management from somebody, and it all has to work together, but they don't all speak the same language. So what we're excited about and really forcing ourselves to learn a lot more about is how the CAN bus really integrates everything, and everything talks through the CAN bus, and you can control everything through the PDUs with the CAN bus that's talking to the BMS, that's also keeping track of the inverter, battery temperature, all through the vehicle control module, and feeding all that great information up on this really cool dash that is designed really from the EV perspective, rather than a retrofitted kind of thing. I got this gauge over here, and I got this gauge here, and sometimes if I tap that one, it'll work.
So are you saying that it's really, it makes it easier for the end user to just plug and play because of the...
I wouldn't say necessarily easier. So AEM shook the world, at least in the motorsport side of things, back in the early 2000s, late 90s, when we released our EMS1 system, or our engine management system, which was plug and play. Because prior to that, to tune your internal combustion engine, either you had this suite of 10 products that didn't talk to each other. One thing controlled the fueling, one controlled the ignition, everything had its own job, and everything's fighting itself. And they're all fighting amongst themselves, and nothing works properly, and you'll get one narrow point that it worked great, but outside of that, it drives horribly, just bad. So we're like, there was engine management systems at the time, but they were all, you had to be guys like me, you wire custom harnesses, do all this stuff, and understand how to program all that stuff. And those guys are few and far in between. Well, the guys that could program it, that exists. There's a lot of guys that exist, but the wiring part is a big barrier. And then, so we made a plug-and-play engine management system, and it was like, boom, the world changed. Everybody's like, wow, this is amazing.
Got it.
So when we came into the EV space, we're kind of bringing that same thing back. We looked at the market. The guys were using this motor and inverter, this gauge that kind of showed you your battery voltage, but what's my state of charge? I have no idea. This BMS is just managing the battery, but it's not talking to the motor controller at all. So this is actually for this much current. We don't know if the battery says it can do that. This BMS system says it can't do that much current, but you know, so you have to like kind of tune around what this tells you to do, and you're managing it. What we're doing is, you know, it's I can't say it's going to be plug and play because that just won't work in this space. Period. But we're integrating everything. So now all these systems are talking to each other. When we step on the pedal, the motor system says, "Hey, battery, how much current can I give you right now? How much can you give me right now?" And the battery says, "Yeah, I can give you everything you're asking for. Here you go." Or it goes, you know, I'm down at 30% state of charge right now. I can only give you this much, and then.
Oh, so is that what that means when you say battery management system?
Yeah.
It's the communication between
the battery and the traction system. So then now, you know, the biggest expense, the biggest cost in an EV right now, and everybody's biggest talk is batteries.
Right.
And the last thing you want to do is dump, you know, all this money into an amazing battery pack, and then just run it down and kill it in a very short period of time. Just like building a nice internal combustion engine and killing it in the first race.
Forgetting to put the oil in or something.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Good analogy. Yeah.
It's depressing. Right? It's breaking.
Is
right?
that why
so
perhaps so many people are like, oh, these EVs, there's a lot of resistors to here. They're like, no, internal combustion engine only, and batteries are bad.
Yeah.
Is it because the refining communication between has not been polished up yet?
In the OEM space, it has. In the OEM space, that's for sure it has. You know, I've read articles where they've tested Teslas that were used as taxis in Europe, and they've gone 300,000 miles on that one battery pack.
Whoa, really?
And only saw a 10% degradation in that battery.
No way.
So a battery that went 250 miles originally now goes 225 miles after 300,000 miles of life. By that point, most cars at 300,000 miles barely even is a car at that point. Like, everything's falling apart.
It's time to rebuild the engine.
It's time to rebuild the entire car at that point. I think the suspension.
And if it does hit that, give it a birthday cake because it hit a mileage, you know, hit a certain milestone.
So the batteries have got to that point where if we can manage it properly, it'll outlast the vehicle easily.
Got it.
That hasn't really been there in the aftermarket space yet.
Okay.
Like it has, there's good battery management systems out there that will do that, but it doesn't communicate with the rest of the vehicle, or the vehicle doesn't communicate with that at all. Or they say that it can, but no one's doing the integration. Unless you're a really smart guy writing custom stuff for just that one application, then that's where it's at. But it's not flexible enough. And we're offering a product that you can use in an application with a Hyper 9, or use an application with a Tesla motor, or use an application with 4 motors and a full-on drag car. It's the same hardware.
You know, what I'm really excited about with the AEM product is because we're an education platform, we're going to get this out to the high schools and colleges. We'll be able to retrofit this into all of our vehicles. And now the students are going to actually be able to learn that wiring. They're going to learn how things communicate with the CAN bus, which is sort of like hocus pocus. And I'll tell you, when I started the EV conversions that I was doing, whenever I went to talk to a mechanic about anything electrical, they said, well, you know, we don't do electrical, we don't do wiring, and that's still the case. So these students are going to come up, they're going to learn wiring, and they'll learn it through their shop classes, and it'll all integrate in the way the cars are integrating now. Because if you think of the car now, I was talking to a guy that has a body shop, and they have a little fender bender on the bumper. He's got to take the bumper off. They got to recalibrate all of the cameras and the sensors.
Oh boy.
And then they have to send it somewhere to get certified and tested. All that stuff has to happen, and it's going to take people that understand wiring and calibration and everything. So it is simplifying something that's really, really complicated, and so it's not really plug and play, but it's getting it all to speak common language. And once you get the common language, then you're getting closer and closer to that plug and play. That's the way I interpret it. So,
yeah, you know, we're hoping to offer a whole host of like hardware to go along with it that will be plug and play. So that the end user
Super.
can just literally just plug it in and it just
Wow.
works. No programming involved.
Wow.
Just plug the stuff and it works. But we're a ways away from that. But we don't want to, at the same time, we don't want to lock people down like, you have to buy our products. That's the only way it's going to work. Too bad, sucks for you. No.
You have to stay open source.
We want to be open enough to support this product, that product, that product, that whatever you want to
Right.
use, we can support it. That's
Wow.
that you build it. Just like all the cars here. None of these cars are the same here at this show, at the SEMA show right now.
Right.
And everybody has some crazy idea to do something, and if someone said, "No, you can't do that. You have to use our product."
Watch me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, we want to keep the innovation and the tinkerers going and keep on
Right.
tinkering. It's going to be a different way of doing it. You know, when the first automobile came out, there wasn't a host of repair shops all over the place that everybody understood
Right.
how to change an alternator or how to rebuild a cylinder head, or no one knew any of this stuff when the first automobile came out. There were specialist guys that knew this stuff and did it. And everybody else knew how to fix your horse-drawn carriage and take your horse to the vet or give
Right.
new shoes.
You have a
whatever
good
it
point.
is, right?
You have a good point.
And it's evolved over the last 100 years that now you can go to your gas station. There's a mechanic there that can do a basic repair for you if you need it. Or you can go to a specialty shop or the dealer, whatever way. And that's where we're going to see the market go, I believe. There's going to be independent repair shops and stuff like that that are going to start to pop up.
Yes.
And understand these things. And a lot of the things with the EVs, a lot of the repairs are not in the electronic side usually. If done well and done correctly,
Right.
they just work. They just
Yeah.
work. You don't have to fix it. You go back to now. You still have brakes to change. You still have some fluids to change. Some coolants to change.
Yep.
There's still business there for the repair shops and stuff like that.
For sure.
Shop. But it's not.
It's not going away.
It's not going away.
Yeah.
It's just a change.
It is. When I talk to people about the battery and how expensive it is, what I try to temper that with is that you're buying like 85% of your fuel all at one time.
Yeah.
Instead of 25, well, now it's like $150 a week at the gas station.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? That's a great way to
you're
look at
actually-
it.
that's
I
really-
never thought about
You're
that.
buying most of your fuel
Oh.
now. And you prorate that over 10 years of the life of the battery, it's not
Okay.
it's not that expensive.
Yeah.
But it's now as opposed to
Yeah, it's a $15,000 now, right? But you're right. It's almost like, okay, I want to fly around the world. How can I make a deal with an airline to
But
just
as
buy a
soon as-
ticket
yeah.
to go anywhere I want?
Yeah,
Okay,
as soon as you do
125K,
that-
please.
Yeah.
as soon as you start doing that, you're getting return on that investment immediately
Yes.
because your cost per mile goes down
Yes.
incredibly.
That's a
So,
great way to look at it,
yeah.
Peter.
But it's a good investment, but it's only a good investment if you monitor it and keep
And maintain
track.
it. Yeah,
Yes.
maintain it
So
the
you
whole
need the proper tools and the knowledge
Yeah.
to program things correctly and the training to get it all right. Even if it's plug and play, certain batteries can discharge at certain rates and they can discharge to a certain voltage. So you've got to kind of know your product line. But we're getting really close now. I'm really excited. We've just been working with the product for a couple of months, and we'll be having it really dialed in
Nice.
shortly. It's going
Nice.
to be really good. So I'd like to ask if you've got anything else you want to say right away. But I want to thank you mostly for coming over and sharing
Oh,
with
yeah.
us.
So, the way I see it, when we were talking about batteries, I did this whole math myself, so I wanted to build my own race car, an EV race car.
Sweet.
And I was like, wow, that battery's going to be expensive. And then I was like, well, with the current fuel cost and my average annual mileage, how many years would it have to be before I paid that battery off? And knowing this current fuel price is not going to go down, it's just going to go up. So
Right.
the numbers are actually even better than what I'm expecting right now. And then I basically calculated it out to 8 years. After 8 years, the battery pays itself off. So I'm basically buying my fuel tank, my fuel pump, and all of my fuel for the next 8 years in one shot. Basically, that's how I got to look at it myself. I can do it slowly. And for every gallon of fuel I'm buying for my current internal combustion car, put some money into a jar for my battery. Pretty soon, eventually, I'll have it eventually. But what I'm excited about working with educators like Switch Vehicles and a couple of colleges and the people that we're working with, because guys like me, I come from the internal combustion world and tuning. I've done that for over a decade now, and I've learned that. And going into EV space has been a new learning experience for me. My learning curve has been this. Like, it's been crazy.
Pretty steep.
But it's been exciting and fun. And there's a bunch of guys like me already existing in the EFI world. And we, as AEM, an engine management
EFI?
electronic fuel injection.
Thank you.
So,
Just checking. There's so much alphabet soup going on.
Alphabet soup.
Yeah.
And there's a whole different host of alphabet soup for me to learn in the EV space.
Right.
But there's a whole host of EFI tuning guys and calibrators out there that are smart and can figure this out and learn this. Like all the gasoline cars here that made it into the show today that are running on an aftermarket engine management system that somebody has programmed at some point. To me, this market is doable. These guys can learn this stuff and shift their, pivot their market, pivot their strategy. Switch vehicles is going to be the educator for the next generation of guys like me and guys that do this and do that. You're going to get some guys that, like, this is going to click for them. This is going to be like, this is exciting for me. I really want to get into this. I'm going to run as fast as I can with this thing. And we're going to see the market change. And
the young ones are very excited. I mean, to see the kids light up when they get their hands on one of these things.
Yeah. And when you get into one and drive one is when you go, okay, this is different. This is fun. This is exciting.
Yeah.
Completely, it's going to be a little bit of time, but I feel like we're going to see some guys rise through the ranks and become the superstars. And
Absolutely. When I used to convert noisy old replica Porsches into electric, I'd get a lot of flack from people about how can you drive that without
the sacrilege
sound? And I go, well, I can hear my stereo, I can actually carry on a conversation with the person sitting next to me, and it's and then they get in it and they go, wow, I see. You don't need that noise.
It's different. It's different. I wouldn't say it's a bad thing. Like, as much as I've driven my car around with my petrol car, I love the sound of it. I'm like, I love the sound, it's awesome, but when I jump in like our drift Camaro and I have some fun with that, I giggle. This is the funnest thing. I've driven a lot of fast cars, and that's by no means a high horsepower car, but it is fun to a different level. And like,
for sure.
We were at the high voltage, and we had our drift car.
So fun! I love that drift car.
Yeah, we had a professional driver on that car. So Farouk, who's a former drift driver, he's professional driver. He's driving a lot of fast cars, 900,000 horsepower. Like, if you show up with 800 horsepower four-wheel drift, you're an underdog. You're an underdog. You're the budget team.
Yeah.
But he jumped in our 450 horsepower Camaro, and he punched it for the first time. And the funniest thing, I hear the driver giggle. 50 feet away, I hear a driver that's used to really fast cars giggle through his helmet from 50 feet away, and I'm like, all right, this is something else. This is something else.
The fact that you could hear him
the
giggle.
fact that he even giggled in the first place, right? And then the sweet part of it being silent is you can hear him giggle.
I have to say, that Holly High Voltage event last year rocked me. I was loving it because there's already sensory overload when you've got all that noise. You've got this acrid smell of the tires burning. Like, there's a lot going on. But you could have infants. There were infants and dogs at that event, and they weren't freaking out. They weren't waking up. In fact, a lot of people missed out on some of the races because it was so quiet. They didn't even know racing was going on.
I come from racing, and I've seen the things change, and all racetracks across America get shut down for noise complaints and things like that.
Right.
This is a new avenue for racers.
It is.
This is a new avenue for racers. We can have racetracks now that are within yards of neighborhoods.
Yes.
And we can race till 2 a.m. and no one's going to complain.
Yes.
No fumes. No
noise, and the demographic is going to expand. You're going to be able to have more children, more families, more family outings coming to the EV racing events. Isn't that cool?
Oh, yeah, it is. But I want to circle back a little bit because, yes, the young crowd is adopting and adapting. But I worked with a guy 15 years ago, and all he does is restore Jeep Willys. Really, he's like one of the top guys. And he strips them down, everything's frame off. And he comes up to me and he says, we met a few years ago. We had a common client. And I said, oh yeah, how you doing? He says, and he's like older than me. I think. Looked older than me anyway. But he he says, I think I'm going to have to adapt to this new thing, man. This electric stuff's really pretty good. And we had a long conversation, and he was into it. And so it's not just the youngsters.
Right.
It's oldsters like myself that are learning new things, which is great fun. And it's plus he says, I can get one more gas car off the road. That's the kind of thing people are thinking about that stuff. But it is something for us oldsters to remember that thinking new things keeps your brain working, keeps you solid, and it's fun. It's fun to hang out with the young kids that are doing stuff. So I'm loving it. I'm just, I go to the schools and I see these kids building these things. I drive mine in town and I see high school kids come up to me and say, I built one of those when I was in high school.
Nice.
I said, it is.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Really exciting.
But you shouldn't fear the new stuff. You should embrace it.
Well, progress is always going to march forward. So change is a good thing. It's a great thing.
It gets to a critical point, and then it rolls over, and everybody's getting into it now. And I think that's what we're seeing here at SEMA now. And I can't believe the quality of the
number
that's going
EVs,
on. And, So we're doing great.
Very good. So if people wanted to contact you and your business, how do we contact you?
You can visit our website at aemev.com.
Okay.
You can reach me through the sales email, or just reach out to any of our tech support. Call us on our line. All of our contact information is on our website. Any information about our product is there as well.
Great.
Yes.
Excellent. And Peter, if people wanted to contact Switch Vehicles, how do we contact you?
I'm not sure. I don't know. I think you might look on the website. TheSwitchLab.com.
TheSwitchLab.com.
It's been around. You search for EV education, we'll come right up. So, the Switch Vehicles, SwitchLab.com or Peter at SwitchVehicles.com.
Yeah. And we're offering something new this year. We're offering opportunities for people who want to learn how to do conversions of their vehicles. They get to learn how to do that as well, right?
Exactly. We've been approached by a lot of people at SEMA over the last few years that are now wanting to get into the conversion business. And there's things you need to know about weight distribution, brakes and steering, suspension, and all of that have to be factored in when you're reallocating resources within a vehicle. Plus, there's the wiring, safety, and everything else. So we're offering a couple of different trainings that just help people jumpstart that and give them things to think about, and also some solutions. And really concentrating on safety and concentrating on preservation of the battery.
Yes.
It really is.
With the AEM. Yes, exactly. Yes.
When I first started getting involved with electric cars, I reached out to the old guard that had been doing it for a while, and I asked him about, what kind of battery should I buy and how should it work. And I remember this quote. He says, buy the cheapest one you can because you're just going to blow it up anyway. That was lead acid he was talking about. But and that's what happens. You've got to learn this stuff. So we can shortcut some of that learning experience, learning expense, by using some experience of, I've been doing this for over 15 years now, and we have a lot of good partnerships with people that are going to help out.
Yeah.
I just want to make people aware of where the partnerships are and how to preserve that 8 years of fuel that you just bought.
Truly. So taking this new course, learning how to convert, then that's going to save them not only from breaking their nose and learning the hard way, if you will. It's also going to save them money because it's going to have a return on investment because they're going to get a shortcut, if you will, to figuring this whole thing out. Because for the average person that isn't an expert, they might feel a bit intimidated. But this class will therefore take away some of that intimidation and make you feel empowered to convert that beautiful vehicle of yours, whether it's a 65 Mustang or a Whatever.
On a Civic or whatever.
Honda
you want.
Civic,
Whatever it
exactly.
is.
Civic.
Whatever you
Yeah.
love, baby. Whatever you love.
Yeah, cool.
It's-
All right, gentlemen. Well, thank you so much for your time, and this was fun.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Peter?